Hello, Internet. My name is Peo Time, and this is going to be a preview for Team Canada and the FIFA World Cup coming up. Definitely a lot of excitement around this team. Anyone who watches this channel knows I mainly cover the Los Angeles Rams and football, but as a Canadian who is really excited about Team Canada finally making the FIFA World Cup, I had to cover this. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for sure. I'm going to be doing watch parties for all the games for Team Canada, so make sure to tune in. But because I am somewhat of a passive soccer fan, I had to bring in someone who knows a lot more than me. And so I'm bringing in my good friend Jeremy here. Hello, Jeremy.
What's up, Peo?
Dude, thank you so much for coming in clutch here. Okay, first off, just tell our viewers, how stoked are you for Team Canada coming in? I know you and we've been friends for a long time, and growing up, Team Canada making the FIFA World Cup was always a joke.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a joke this year.
No, absolutely not. And I actually love it. And I wish I wish the world was more excited, and it's driving me insane. And being a soccer fanatic, living in North America, a dual citizen, U.S. Canadian, soccer is my sport. It's the sport that I follow. I'm a huge Premier League guy. That's my league that I follow. And so I'm constantly living this life of trying to talk about my sports teams and my game and my passion with people. And all they want to talk about is NFL, and all they want to talk about is baseball. And they want to talk about basketball. And so this is that one time where I'm like, do you not realize how excited you should be? Because like you said, you and I have never seen Canada play in a World Cup in our life.
No.
And now it's happening. And it wasn't just like we got in because we're the host nation. Like, they got in with style. They got in and they proved that they deserve to be here. So this is one where I'm just looking at people around me like, how are you not jumping up and down, chomping at the bit to get underway? I'm so excited. And I know that they're going to go out there and they're going to make a good show of it.
Absolutely. And for context for our viewers, Canada has not made the World Cup. Was it 1984? Is that
I think it was 86.
86. Okay, got my years mixed up.
Maybe.
That's a really long time. And they've never scored a goal at the FIFA World Cup.
So, no, and that's the thing, is just like, you'd think, for that reason, you'd think that going in, our objective should be just score a goal, right? Because normally when a country makes its a World Cup debut and no one thinks, even though it's not our debut, and no one thinks much of them, you need to go out there and at least score a goal and show that you can score a goal in the top level of competition. But I feel like from Canada's perspective, if that's what we're going in there as our goal, let's go out there and get a goal, maybe win a game, we'd be remiss, because I think that we should be shooting for at least the round of 16. And I think that's entirely possible with this team.
Absolutely. And so let's get into our preview here. There's a couple of unique storylines about Team Canada heading into this. The first one we got to talk about is Team Canada's star player Alphonso Davies. Alphonso Davies. What are your thoughts coming into this? I know he's had some highlights, but he hasn't actually played with the team in a while. Am I correct?
Yeah. He's obviously star player, high profile, plays for Bayern Munich at left back in the Bundesliga. So he's already well known on the international stage all over the world. Arguably, I would say, maybe I'm a little biased, whatever, but one of the best left backs playing right now, which is a huge deal. It started off in the MLS, didn't last there very long before he was scooped up and shipped overseas. Like you said, he hasn't been playing with us in a while, in the sense he's played a couple of friendlies, but he did miss the last 6 or so matches of qualifying. And so normally, like when your star player, your talisman, as they say, is injured, you'd expect the team to take a hit. But the fact is that Canada was still able to perform in those matches, and they won 4 out of 6 of those qualifying matches without him playing. This time around, the injury is a little different. That was due to illness. This is due to a hamstring injury, and we all know hamstring injuries. I mean, that's touch and go. A lot of us have had them, So it's going to be about, for him, he's obviously wanting to play. He wants to play so bad. Is your opening match against Belgium when you really want to throw him out there and maybe hurt himself worse? I mean, obviously you want to put your best foot forward, but if there's a chance that you could throw him in there and have him be at 80%, or you could let him rest up and have him play the next 2 games at 100%, that's going to be what's going on in the coach's mind, probably when he's picking his starting lineup on Wednesday.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to, whether he's on the field, and I have seen he's been quoted as he's expecting himself to play. So that's a huge get for Canada. But as you said, Canada is a good team even without their star player. So here's hoping he's joining them on the pitch. And that does bring us into, you mentioned Belgium. Belgium is, would you say, the odds-on favorite to win Group F?
I would say hands down, yeah, which is weird because Croatia is also in Group F, and Croatia was a finalist 4 years ago, Russia 2018. It was a Croatia-France
Right.
final. So for them to be in here and not be expected to win. But the thing about Belgium is that for years now, Belgium has been the team of great expectations. They've had their kind of golden age as a team. And so every time they play in an international tournament, whether it's the Euros or whether it's the World Cup, they're always like, oh, don't count out Belgium. Don't count out Belgium. And while they have gone far in all those tournaments, they've never actually delivered with a trophy. They've never actually won that championship that's justified the #1 world ranking that FIFA has given them for the past couple of years. So once again, we're going to a tournament and everyone's saying, oh, Belgium, Belgium, Belgium. It's like, yeah, but we've been saying that for, going on years now. But I think as far as Group F goes, they're probably the safe bet. I mean, their issue is they've got a mixture of some players that are kind of over the hill, maybe past their prime, with a good mixture of some dudes that are young and have some energy. So we'll see how that dynamic goes. They do have arguably the best midfielder in the world in Kevin De Bruyne playing for them. So that's, I mean, you got players like that are single-handedly able to dictate how a game goes. So that's going in their favor. But I would say as far as the top of Group F goes, Belgium's probably the safe bet.
Okay. And then we also have in Group F, Morocco and Croatia. You mentioned Croatia before. What are your thoughts on this Croatian team? Outside of, they had a big performance in the last World Cup. Can they build off of that?
Yeah, I think Croatia is another tough one because looking at the players that have showed up here, we got some huge names that are playing in this tournament. Obviously, some of the biggest names in world sports, not just in soccer. But the thing about Croatia is the same with a lot of them is age. Age is a factor. Age is a thing. Their entire team is kind of built around a focal point being a 37-year-old midfielder from Real Madrid, who, don't get me wrong, Luka Modric is incredible and still continues to perform at his age. But you're seeing it in this World Cup specifically, it's kind of the last dance saloon for a lot of these guys. But this is the last time we're going to see them play and perform on a world stage. And so when you have a team like Canada who's going to go out there and be explosive and go out there and hopefully, I think, press and try and push and go for the W. We'll see how much age and pace kind of is a factor on some of these teams who are relying on big name players, but big name players who've kind of been doing this for a minute and maybe don't have that split second pace they used to have, or that split second decision making that used to be in their wheelhouse.
Okay. And then Morocco. Any thoughts on them? Are they kind of? Would you say they're at the bottom of this Group F most likely?
That's where I have them, but again, I'm Canadian, right? So I'm sure if you're talking to somebody else, Canada's in a World Cup. No, Morocco's been here before. This is back-to-back World Cups for Morocco. They did qualify in 2018. They've got some big name players as well. But from my perspective, looking at Group F, that's a winnable game. I would say that's a very winnable game for Canada, and that's one where we definitely need to capitalize and get those 3 points. I would say Group F overview for Canada. Our objective is definitely going to be to get into the knockout stage. If we can qualify for the knockout stage, make it out of the group, what a huge win that would be for us as a soccer nation. I think that Belgium's going to be a tough one. That we're going to probably playing for a draw in that one, the opening game. Morocco is a must win. And so therefore I think it's going to come down to the Canada-Croatia game to decide how bad you guys want to be here and how bad do you want to go on.
Okay. All right. Well, definitely exciting times to be a Canadian soccer fan.
Oh, yeah.
In Group F. And just closing out the thoughts here on Group F, would you say that Canada matches up well in terms of scheme against our rivals in Group F?
See, I don't know. It's stuff like this is hard because a lot of your games are played, the qualifying games are played against near peers back in your own group, right? So we've had lots of experience playing CONCACAF. We've had good showings in CONCACAF, playing against teams like Mexico, the United States, playing against teams like Honduras or El Salvador, Costa Rica, Jamaica. But how much experience do we have playing competitively against European teams? Not a whole lot. When we do get a match against a European team, it's going to be a friendly. And so not everyone's going to be giving it 110%. People are going to be worried about injuries. People are going to be worried about this, that, the other thing. So we haven't seen in our lifetime, you and I haven't seen Canada play against a European team and actually go 100%. This is it. This is the show. And so as far as matching up scheme goes, that comes all down to John Herdman. And just what are you going to want to do? Are you going to want to be conservative and be like, let's give respect to the fact that we're playing against Belgium and they're going to come at us. Let's try and sit back and invite some pressure in, maybe try and get lucky on a counterattack. Or are you going to walk into this and say, no, let's go toe to toe and show the world we deserve to be here. Let's just throw punches and see what happens.
Well, I'm glad you brought up John Herman because that segues perfect into our next segment here. John Herman is the manager or the coach of Team Canada, but he's had kind of an unconventional career. Could you just expand upon how in the world did he get to be a manager of a national club at the FIFA World Cup?
Yeah, it's not. This is weird. This is one of those weird situations where you have a player who doesn't have, or you have a manager, excuse me, doesn't have a resume as a player, really professionally. One of those people who's just by profession is just a coach and always has been a coach, and coaching is what he does. What's also weird is I don't know, and people who are the stats police can probably correct me later on, but I don't know if I can think of an international manager whose entire career has been managing women's teams and then suddenly finds himself managing a men's team, right? Because his resume before this was he was the Australian women's manager, and then he was the Canadian women's manager, and the Canadian women's team is fantastic.
Really good.
They do very well, very successful. And then all of a sudden goes from managing Canada women to managing Canada men, with nothing kind of in between there. And look where we are. He's got, I think, a 70% win streak as Canada's manager. So obviously he's rising to the challenge and doing very well, but he's not bringing that like experience of like a Louis van Gaal who's managing the Netherlands and has experience as both domestic and international, or like Belgium, if we want to stay in Group F with Roberto Martinez, who was manager for Everton, had some domestic experience, some domestic success before becoming an international manager. He's only managed internationally. And he managed women's teams before he was a Canadian men's coach, and he's out there crushing it. And he himself is a dark horse that I think that it makes Canada very exciting.
That's awesome, man. I'm so hyped for this.
Oh, yeah.
You have a young team full of, talent trying to prove themselves. You have a nation that's rallying behind them, that we've been desperate to get to the FIFA World Cup for years. There's a lot to like about Team Canada, and I can't wait for that first game. Do you have any final thoughts on what to expect in this first game against Belgium?
See, my biggest concern is we do have a couple injury concerns, right? We have Alphonso Davies, one of our playmakers, Eustachio, is also hurt, and we have a goalkeeper who's questionable in Milan Borjan. And why that's so devastating is that our other goalkeeper, Maxime Crepeau, just broke his leg like 2 weeks before the World Cup and the MLS Cup final, which the MLS Cup final was incredible. And if that had been a cup final in any other competition, the world would still be talking about it. But his team, LAFC, did end up winning the cup final in the most dramatic fashion possible, but he broke his leg in that game. And he was also fantastic in qualifying. So we're down a goalkeeper, and then our starting goalkeeper is now questionable. Eustachio is questionable. Alphonso Davies is questionable. So injuries are going to be like, we need to put our best foot forward, and we need to put on a good performance, especially against Belgium. We get the top dog first. And so that's going to be one where we need to make a statement, really a statement of intent. And in order to do that, you're going to want your best players healthy. So I'm curious to see. I'll be watching my phone every 5 minutes on game day, waiting for the lineups to finally be released, and I can hop on there and see who's playing. But that's probably the biggest concern for us. And hopefully the boys can rise to the challenge.
For sure. Well, everyone watching, thanks for tuning in. We are going to have a watch party for each and every one of Team Canada's game right here on Payo Time. It's going to be a blast and a half. Jeremy's going to be joining me. We're going to be talking soccer, and we're going to cheer on Canada as they participate in Group F of the FIFA World Cup. Thanks for watching.
Let's go.